Hi, Jamie. I'm Ivan Misner. I'm here with Jamie Benizri.
Good to meet you.
Jamie is President and CEO of Legal Logic.
I'm honored to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure to talk to you. We're talking because you're a member of CorporateConnections.
I am.
And so I just got a few questions for you. First, how has Legal Logic used social media for the purpose of both traditional and non-traditional networking? And has it had a positive effect on your business?
It's been such a good question because it's such a central kind of pillar of how we've communicated our message. From the beginning, I've always spoken about doing law differently. So communicating law as something that's non-threatening, something where you could engage with your lawyer and not feel threatened or not feel intimidated by the process. So really from the beginning, we really try to democratize the way that we communicate with our audience and engage them. So social media has allowed for us to diffuse the message and communicate it on a large scale, but more importantly, to actually communicate and interact with our audience.
Right.
And it's been hugely successful for us to be able to interact with people. And they're asking questions on LinkedIn, on Snapchat, on Instagram,
Right.
and we're answering them.
And you're answering them.
And I'm answering them
Go
in real
figure.
time. And unfortunately,
Sometimes I have a hard time getting legal to just return a phone call.
could you imagine? So I pride myself on the swiftness of the response, and social media has allowed my audience to reach their lawyers like never before. So it's really been a huge differentiating point for us as a firm.
I find that social media and technology flattens the communication hierarchy, that it enables me to talk to people in a way that I couldn't, certainly when CorporateConnections was started or when I started BNI. You just couldn't communicate like you can today.
That's right.
So the technology is amazing.
I think, just when Friedman said the world is flat, I think the same thing has applied to networking.
Yeah.
And really that's what we see. I don't have to go, to marketing for a response. People are interacting in real time.
Right.
And, there was a huge turning point in the way that we use social media. As soon as it started coming from my voice and not from my marketing director,
Yes, makes a difference.
people started connecting because they know that's something Jamie would say, or that's how Jamie would respond to me. And that's how my audience has gotten accustomed to interacting with me.
Yeah. So as a professional, how has being a member of CorporateConnections contributed to your personal and your professional growth?
Also a really good question, Dr. Misner. I've learned 3 key things with being in CorporateConnections. The first thing is how to be consistent. And I think that, through good disciplining and meeting once a week and waking up at 5 a.m. and driving in traffic, whether it's, snow or, come hell or high water, we're expected to be there as our, president and treasurer, Stefan would kind of, hit us on the wrist if we weren't there. It's really
nicely, though.
Nicely,
Yes,
like a good, father figure. And I thank him for it because it's really instilled discipline and the importance, and it should not be taken lightly, because when you see people consistently, week in, week out, it really kind of strengthens that relationship that you can achieve, and whether it's on social media or otherwise, these are invaluable lessons in business. So that's the first thing, is consistency. The second thing,
can I comment?
Of course, yeah.
I think one of the strengths of a great network is that many of the people are friends. One of the weaknesses of a great network is that many of the people are friends.
Amazing.
And friends don't like to hold friends accountable.
Correct.
And so you have to have that accountability in order to have a successful group.
Accountability, that's a great way to put it. I agree.
And I think that's what happens in an organization like CorporateConnections. Sometimes I see people who they create their own network, and I have actually read online where people say, well, we're CorporateConnections without the rules.
Yeah.
I love those groups.
Isn't that great?
Yes, because they fail.
Doesn't work.
Because
I
there's
agree.
no accountability. Hockey without rules would be boxing on ice. So you got to have the rules.
That's exactly
I agree
it.
with your first one. What's your second?
That's fantastic. So, authenticity. The second thing is authenticity, because when I'm asking for a connection or when I'm making a connection, if I'm not being authentic, those are the members that don't last. Those are the members that get frustrated in the process and tend to terminate their membership prematurely.
Self-terminate.
They self-terminate them, and they get angry at the group for not feeding them business.
Right.
So I always find that a very interesting way of seeing it. And as I became more authentic with the group, more true to myself, even a little vulnerable,
Yeah.
of manning up to things that I could do better, was the moment that my membership and what I got out of the membership excelled through the roof. So
Right.
the second thing is authenticity for me.
I like that, and I agree completely.
Thank
You're
you.
absolutely right.
So that's the second thing. And the third thing is being bold, is taking a position, saying what's on your mind, talking about what your industry isn't doing well. How do you differentiate yourself? And I think that if you're not bold in your approach, if you're not bold in the way that you conduct yourself,
Right.
that I think that people tend to overlook your seat sometimes. People tend to overlook or even take you for granted.
Take you for granted.
So-
Especially being in a profession where everybody kind of thinks they sort of know what you do.
Everyone thinks they know,
Yeah.
the ambulance chasing lawyer.
Yeah.
And I've heard the jokes, for forever, and I'm sure you can spit 5 off the tip of your tongue right now.
No, I would
and I know you're
never,
holding back.
ever do
You're
that.
from Texas, so I know that.
I would never do that.
But it really for me is, being bold, not for the sake of being bold, not for the sake of rattling the cage,
Right.
but doing it because it's a reflection of who you are. And I think that today more than ever, every single seat or every single member is the star of their own show.
Yes.
And it's really
It's a great way to put it.
It's become our job to entertain our fellow members, to entertain our guests, because really,
Right.
we're there. It's a show for our guests,
It is.
and to make sure that they feel comfortable opening up their Rolodex
It is.
to us.
It's all about people's experience.
Yeah.
They're either going to have a good experience or a bad experience.
Yeah.
Members and visitors. And so you have to make people feel welcome.
Correct.
Listen, I don't know if people want to go to a meeting at Dark 30 every week.
Yeah.
But I know they want to have a good experience
They do.
often.
They do.
And so if people can come to a meeting and have a great experience, then they're going
They
to
join.
stay. They join.
They
stay.
join. They come and they join. And this is what I see happening over the past 3 months. The energy is palpable. It's great.
Yeah.
People are exchanging energy, and they see me and Stefan exchanging business. It gets them excited.
Yeah.
So being bold, I think, allows the people to start connecting with you on a more profound level and feel comfortable saying, this guy, he's a leader. He knows what he's talking about. So for me, those are the 3 things. CAB, being consistent, authentic, and bold. For me, are 3 pillars of a really strong membership base.
I like it. So as an entrepreneur, very active in your community, what's your advice to young professionals and founders of startups as they evaluate how to effectively grow their networks and their business?
I think the first thing is to stop chasing capital before you've built or you've tried your model. I think that we're at a time where we're enamored. The way that maybe you were maybe excited about, Kiss back then, or whatever rock band was popular. Now we're
Probably more of a Beatles guy.
I didn't want to say I didn't want to talk decades,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Well, you can talk decades. You see the color of my hair.
I'm turning gray too. But today
Hey,
we're
I'm just still happy I have hair.
today we're enamored by the entrepreneur.
Yes.
And we get excited about the idea of being our own boss, going against the system, and kind of doing it our own way.
Right.
Throwing ourselves out of the plane and building the proverbial airplane as we're diving.
Yeah.
So today, guys like Gary Vaynerchuk and the Grant Cardones and all of these guys are inspiring a lot of different people. And I think that we need to go back to the basics. We need to go back to the basics, fundamental.
Yes.
People think that if they have a Facebook page or a LinkedIn page, they're going to make a post, Jamie Benizri is open for business.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
Who
Right.
cares,
Right.
really?
Right.
And people forget that it's conversations like this, and it's shaking flesh and hitting the pavement and going to networking events that really is the age-old trick that hasn't changed. Right. Social media and all the tricks of the trade today still will never replace the foundational tools and platforms that you have been so instrumental in building. So
But they're both important.
They are.
As evidenced by the fact that you're
Absolutely.
very active on social media
Great
and
point.
active on face-to-face.
Great point. And you can marry both together.
Right.
Hugely impactful. So, I spend a lot of my time coaching as a mentor, coaching entrepreneurs about how to leverage the online platform,
Right.
but converting it to traditional relationships.
Yes.
So how do you turn this like on LinkedIn to a handshake in person?
Right.
So we're basically converting all of these warm digital leads to real business. And I think that's what I'm trying to talk to, to young entrepreneurs and even entrepreneurs who are saying, Jamie, I don't get it. I'm doing everything you're doing. I'm posting regularly. I'm talking. I'm being bold.
Yeah.
I'm being authentic, and no one seems to care. And then when we delve into a little bit more, I'm saying, well, bud, you're not getting out of your house. You're in pajamas all day.
Yeah, right.
And you're not getting out of the house. You're playing PlayStation.
Networking is a contact sport.
It's a contact sport.
You got to get belly to belly. You got to actually talk to people.
That's exactly it.
I tell people it's not a situation of either or. It's either social media or face-to-face. It's both and.
You got it.
That you really need to be doing both. So years ago, I was in Stockholm, and I was doing an interview. And this guy, 20-something-year-old young man, was the reporter. And we sat down just like this, and he spent the first 5 minutes beating me up for running what he called the buggy whip business of the networking industry.
Oh, God.
That's what he called it. And I'm like, really? Buggy whip business? How?
Yeah, it's a little extreme, yeah.
Well, he said, well, because, when buggy whips, when the automobile replaced the horse and carriage, the buggy whip business went out of business. And you're in face-to-face, and that's the buggy whip business. It's going to go out of business. So I said to him, so why are you here?
Yeah.
And he said, well, my boss said I had to do the interview. So I get it that you're not impressed with face-to-face, but why are you here? Why did you drive here? It took you an hour to get here. It's going to take you an hour and a half to get back. Why did you drive here? And Jamie, he didn't even blink. He said, oh, well, because a face-to-face interview is always better.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was just like,
you broke him down.
Yeah, well, he got it. He got it. And I think you got it. That it takes both social media and both are tools in your tool belt.
Side by side.
And if you can integrate them effectively, you're going to be a more successful
Then you're a winner, I agree.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, look, I think Corporate Connections for me has been, just that. It's been in a digital age.
Yeah.
How do you maintain, good relationships and drive excitement? And I think that, when people see me, they usually say one thing: Jamie Benizri, you're everywhere. How do you do it? And I'm like, I'm really not everywhere. I have a great marketing team, and we have great marketing techniques that we use. But I tend to use every opportunity as a stage to document whatever I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that, that opportunity that I document pays dividends over the scope of days, because it goes on social media and it permeates and it recycles itself.
Right.
So everything that we do is subject to being documented. What we're doing today, for me is going to create content. I'm not going to say for 5 years, but it's going to create a lot of great content.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll hear each other on a podcast. I mean, this, so we can mash this up, this face-to-face interview.
Yes.
And we can turn it into an Instagram post, a LinkedIn feed.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about how great this conversation was. I'm going to, we're doing a Facebook Live right now. It's endless.
It really is. It really is. And it's a way to certainly connect with the millennials, the younger people, because they're very engaged, yet they're not doing a lot face-to-face. And so things like CorporateConnections, which you're a member of, is a great way to bring people in face-to-face.
More important than ever. So I think institutions like this and organizations like the ones that we're building today are here to stay. They're not going anywhere. And a lot of people, there's no horse and buggy. This is the real deal. Yeah. I'm a testament to that. I consider myself to really have 1 foot in the millennial pond. Yeah. And 1 foot in the, in the older school. I mean, I come from the background where, my grandfather was in the schmata business. He immigrated here. He was in the clothing business all of his life. And I still very much grew up with those stories. Right. The honor, the no contract.
No contract.
It's a
shaking hand.
Shaking a hand, and it's worth something. Yeah. Not one court case, not one judgment, not one litigation.
Amazing.
And I look back, I say, today, you can't even do anything without signing a release. Or, although we haven't signed a release today, but no. I'll assume we're good for it.
Legal? Listen, we're almost out of time.
Yes.
Is there anything you want to add? Great information. I really appreciate you spending the time.
There's nothing I need to add. I mean, I'm honored to be here, and I can't wait to see what the next generation of networking has in store for us.
Jamie, Legal Logic, member of Corporate Connections. Thank you so much,
Thank you so much
for being here today. We
Thank
appreciate
you so much. Yeah, it's been great. Thank you.